All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the very last session of the day and for hanging in there with us for the last 2 days of the conference. We appreciate you. We appreciate Randall for being with us as well and for sharing that great session on how his program works and all of the cool things that he does with his kids there at the Byron Martin Center. I have your questions that were typed in through the Inspired platform, but if you had some questions that you didn't get to type in, then you can use the chat feature here, and Morgan is going to help us monitor those. Also, if you just keep muted throughout and just do your questions through the chat, that would be appreciated. That way we can avoid as much feedback as possible for Randall as he tries to answer those questions. And then at the end, we're going to give you that code that's necessary for you to get credit for attending the session here. So one of the questions that was chatted, and Randall answered it within the chat, but let's talk about it a little bit to the entire group of where does the funding come from for you to be able to build those homes for the Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that I did not know was that every Habitat for Humanity chapter is as independent as a Baptist church. I mean, they kind of do their own thing. They have their own leadership. Obviously, there's an umbrella organization, but really everything is homespun and homegrown. And so our executive director that we have now is just outstanding at going out and asking for money. Matter of fact, she'll tell me I can build as many houses as I want to. She'll find the funds for it. That's just the way she is, which is fantastic. Not everybody has that, I'm sure. But all of the funding for the material for our house comes from community donations. We've had a great partnership with Helen Jones Foundation. They've supported us for years. We've had some other donors come in as well. And because the way Habitat is structured, the folks that get these houses are paying for these houses as well. And so there is some money that can kind of fly through as far as a capital type situation that can be used as well to invest in the next house if need be. So if you can't find that funding, there are some options out there. Our executive director has already told me if we've got a district somewhere, obviously we're going to be way more familiar with it in Texas, but if there's somebody else somewhere else, she's willing to visit with anyone, with their director or anybody about getting this started, and I am as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll get some contact information to you, and we'll set up a meeting, because this partnership for our type programs, there's not a better option out there. I mean, we can build dog houses, we can build sheds, but it's not the same. And these guys get hands-on stuff with something that folks are actually going to be living in, that are going to be put in their neighborhoods, and it gives them a lot of ownership to it. So.
Awesome. The other question was, how many semesters are in each of your different levels of your construction 1, 2, and so forth?
So ours, our 1, 2, and 3, the way our classes work, they're all double blocked. So they're 80-minute classes, and they all run the entire year. So 2 semesters, basically.
Okay. Another question that we had here is, how do you handle the students that that just won't abide by or have a hard time following the safety rules? So do you have any unique, other than just kick them out, or do you have some unique ways of dealing with those types of students?
Unfortunately, that's always an issue. And I wish I had this magic silver bullet thing that would help you. I really don't. I tried doing some like refusal to work things, and I try having them sit out. One of the things that typically sort of works is if a kid, obviously I give them lots of chances, but if they just don't bring their stuff, then they sit down and do book work, and they obviously hate doing that. If a kid just doesn't want to participate, they're just not going to, and eventually you may have to seek other alternatives. But typically, if it's just a one-time deal, oh my gosh, I forgot my whatever, then I'm going to work with them. If it's kind of an everyday thing, then yeah, I'm calling mom, really. As a matter of fact, typically I'll just say, what's your mom's number? And we'll call her right there and ask why we can't participate today. And that 9 times out of 10, that solves the problem right there.
Nobody wants mama mad at them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. other than that, really stressing the importance of these guys are preparing for industry, and that's my whole job, is to get them ready to go into the industry. And so I'll bring folks in that'll talk about, hey, if you're not wearing this stuff, here, if you're not wearing the stuff, you might get your mom called. But in my job, if you're not wearing the stuff, you're not coming back tomorrow. That's just all there is to it. And if you got a wife and a couple of kids to feed, that gets pretty serious pretty quick. And so trying to express the real world application to them. For sophomores, we don't have freshmen here. We only have sophomores through seniors. But even seniors sometimes are a little bit young to completely understand that. But try to make those connections where we can.
I had a question here on the chat. Do you have a workflow example for how you schedule out your builds? And then how far are the houses transported, and who pays for the transportation?
So workflow, I saw that question. I thought, man, I could really sound really cool right now and tell you, no, I do. I don't have anything that's just like this one piece document that would be like, oh, this is awesome. Really, it follows my scope and sequence for my class. So we're going to go through, obviously the site survey unit, and then talking about foundations, subfloors, and on up from there. And so basically it just follows the stages of the building of the house. And so I don't necessarily have anything other than my scope and sequence really that I would go by. That's a disappointing answer. I'm sorry, man. The houses now, typically they were actually in our neighborhood, and so they would only be a few blocks. Now they have a subdivision that our last 5 houses have gone to, and it's about 3 miles. And we've had the variety. We've had some, like the folks we're using right now. As a matter of fact, they were supposed to move my house at 10 o'clock this morning, and it hasn't moved yet, so we'll see. But we actually, Habitat actually had to pay them. They gave them a discounted rate, but they did have to pay them, and so that came out of the same donations that would be for materials. We have had in the past where moving companies have donated their services to do that, obviously in exchange for some advertisement, word of mouth, and what have you, just doing a good turn daily. So.
Gotcha. Next question. With looking like full online education and probably hands-on skill practice is a real challenge, and probability hands-on is going to be a challenge. The main challenge is tools or lack of tools at home and student safety using those tools on projects without guidance. Any ideas?
Man, talk about a tough question, Tom. And I tell you, it's one on every single person's mind. I can tell you what our school board did. Our school board actually voted just a few days ago that if they were going to take a class like construction technology, they had to be face-to-face. Now, we know that because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and we're all pretty confident that school's going to be shut down at some point in time. We know that that's probably not practical either. I would say getting the content out there as best as possible and reiterating, especially the stuff with safety. I am not going to ask a student to use a power tool out at their home. I'm just not. I'm not confident enough in that. I don't care how many online sessions they watch. I'm not confident in that, and I can't be there. But as far as using hand tools and things like that, we did some projects at the end of the year last year as everything was shut down, where I had them do some things around the house, and they would upload a video, just tell me, they fixed a hinge, or it didn't have to be anything. I mean, we were all just trying to get something at the end of the year, right? So again, I think we do what we can. I have not heard the silver bullet that's going to make this year amazing if we have to go virtual for classes like ours. It's going to be tough no matter what we do. But I would say if I had any advice at all, it was, let's stay away from things that can totally amputate. let's stick to Band-Aid type tools. We'll do that.
Let's see. Did we have any other questions? I don't see any other questions here. There was the virtual question that I had on this side, but that was also asked here. So Morgan's going to chat you guys the code for this session. I'll read it to you though. It is TENCH TENCHOCO036. That one's a mouthful. So TENCHOCO036. And thanks again to everyone. Thanks to Randall. And best of luck this fall semester, and sincerely hope that everything is safe and gets back to normal very soon. And we just appreciate all of you. So thanks and bye-bye.
Thank you.